Can absolutely dig it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from the Den Legacy Internet Radio. I want to move to another area, kind of keeping with some of the incendiary stuff, because that's what I do. Facebook Live. That's what I do. I got this one from the Huffington Post, and the article starts by saying that there are 4 striking facts that reveal how black people and white people view the police. Now, there's analysis to each one of these bullet points, but what I want to do, Ruben, I want to break down each one, and I want us to be very honest, and I want us to be very fair. It's very easy to wear our black guy hat because we're in a room. It's the first time in a long time. There's no estrogen in the room. It's just brothers. We ain't here kicking it. It's just brothers. And so we're going to have a conversation. It's just men, black men, white people. Call up. I want to hear your opinion. Your opinion is welcome. Your opinion is valued. 804-402-2893. I'm not the dude that's going to tell you that there's something wrong with your opinion just because you don't look like me and you have it. But I'm going to be as strong in mine as I can be. I need you to come correct with yours. The first thing, Ruben, it says is that black people are nearly half less as likely as white people to have a positive view on the performance of the local police. I want everybody to kind of address this. Just a couple of quick notes on some statistics that they cite in this bullet point. It says overall, a third of Americans say they have confidence in their local police, but black Americans express significantly higher levels of skepticism. According to the study, 75% of white people say police in their community do an excellent job at using the right amount of force. However, 33% of black people believe cops use the right amount of force. 35% say they treat all racial and ethnic groups equally. As for their take on how local police departments hold officers accountable, 70% of white people feel those departments do an excellent job, while only 31% of black people feel the same way.
Was this on Fox News?
Well,
I'm just asking.
No, this was a poll that was done by the Huffington Post. And it's black people and white people. It's 4,538 black, white, and Hispanic adults between August 16th and September 12th. That was when the poll was conducted.
Okay. To be honest with you, I don't necessarily have a personal opinion because I do my best to stay away out of police areas and stuff like that. However, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, yeah, maybe now I make sure the speed limit.
You have Steppin.
Nah, I'm just being serious. I mean, for me, maybe I use my cruise control a little bit more to make sure I don't speed. Maybe, I take things to make sure I don't get myself in trouble. I'm not a fan of being in trouble. I mean, what's up, Jimmy? I understand why people feel that way. I do. I have not had any negative interactions with police in some time. And the biggest negative interaction I've ever had with a policeman is one told me I was speeding. I was going 60 in a 45 mile per hour space, and I advised him that I wasn't, simply because I was behind a log truck. And that's not really possible because I wasn't trying to get hit by a log. And that was some years ago. So personally, I've never had a negative interaction with police. I am a black man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't ever want to have a negative interaction with a policeman either. But I'm also not blind. I see what goes on. And maybe I do take extra steps in my personal life to make sure that I don't become one of those people who that happens to.
Did you really just say that you take extra steps to not become one of those people? Yes or no?
I said...
I caught that too.
I mean, I know you caught that, and I know where you're taking that, but that's not what it is. Because
I call foul.
You can call foul.
How do you fix your mouth as a black man to sit here and make the statement that, first of all, you said those people, which means to me that you're separating yourself from the plight of what we have going on. Every day that we get up and walk outside those doors, we are both black men.
Yep.
I have had confrontations with law enforcement before. Was I wrong in some instances? Yes. Was I correct in a lot of instances? Yes. Did it make a difference? No. Because a lot of times street justice, and I'll put that out there for people who might not understand the politically correct way to what I really wanted to say, but street justice, as far as law enforcement is concerned, on a lot of occasions in different areas of where you are, still goes back to the color of your skin. And a lot of that ends up being blue. Black and blue if you run your mouth too much. So I can't believe you sit there. I mean, you set your cruise control. Guess what? So what? What did the young man who got shot in his car reaching? I saw a video the other day on I was on Facebook because they always flash stuff. It was the one where the cop told him, and you could hear him audibly say, "Where I need your ID." He was out of the vehicle. He said, "Okay, it's in the car." He said, "Okay, get me your ID." He went back to the car to get the ID, and he gets shot 4 times. Bop, 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 bop. 4 times for doing what he was told to do. So if you stand there and do nothing, you get shot, beat up, crucified, whatever you want to call it. If you do what you're told to do, you still do that. Have you ever seen Mississippi Burning?
I have.
Okay. Did you see Mississippi Burning where when he rolled up and they pulled over to the side and he said, "Well, at least I got me one"?
Yep.
Guess how we feel every day. So do me a favor, when you make statements like that, quantify them and clear them up for me quick.
Well, I mean, but
we're getting a couple of hits in social media. Our brother Tavon is checking us out. What's up, brother? Our brother Jimmy is checking us out.
What's up, Jimmy?
Jimmy's got a couple of comments in. First, he's saying what's up to Big Bro Joe and yours truly. He says he's saying to me, don't think that we the people could have put 2 better candidates up for election. So I think that I agree with you, brother. We should have been able to do better than these 2 candidates that we have. Then he also continues, police officers that he knows, black and white, just want you to listen to what they're asking. Here's my thought on that, Jimmy. I agree with that, but I also agree that there is a social brainwashing that goes on with us here in this country. And I think a lot of folks don't understand it. I think a lot of folks who do understand it choose not to accept and acknowledge it. But when we watch the things that go on in our community versus other communities, we are under fire as black men in this country. We just are. And it's a different interaction that we have with law enforcement than other people have. And here's how I know that. I've spoken with many white men in my age group. I'm 42 years old. I've spoken with them. I've had conversations with them in casual. And most of them cannot tell me about having had the conversation. And it's 4 black men in this room, and every single one of them is nodding right now. They give me a face because they know about what the conversation is. I remember having it with Pops J, who shared with me how you interact with law enforcement. Now, if someone that's not in our community cannot tell me that they remember having the conversation, or their friends remember having the conversations, or their cousins or whatever having the conversation, then you can't in good conscience tell me that you understand what I feel like when I see them blue lights, when I'm sitting at a stoplight knowing I ain't do nothing wrong, thinking, damn, am I riding dirty? What the hell am I doing wrong? You automatically feel this anxiety that comes over you, and you know that you didn't do nothing wrong. When I've had conversations with my brothers and my sisters in other communities and other racial communities who think I'm crazy for feeling that way. They think I'm tripping. They like, what is wrong with you? You some kind of weirdo paranoid freak? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, no. I realize that the vast majority of law enforcement are good cops that take care of their families. They just want to go home.
Amen.
You know, these are people who raise their children to be respectful of law enforcement, and when they're in the community, they are respectful of the people and they are respectful of the law. The vast majority of police are like that, and I know that, and so does Big Rube, and so does Lucia, and so does Big Bro Joe. But when we talking about stop snitching, when we talking about Pookie killing Day Day, and the police going to the hood and they going to ask the people in the hood what happened, and the people closing their mouth and closing their whole body, and they saying, I ain't telling you nothing, and they going away, and the police get mad about that. How about the police stop snitching when they see what goes on and they cutting off the body cameras?
Wow.
Because they don't want to have that thin blue wall being cracked and they be the one getting hurt because they snitched on another cop.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what we dealing with, and that's what we talking about. And that's the piece that gets me upset. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We're going to move to the next question. And I know that, Lucia, I know your time is coming close to the end. And so just give me some sort of hand signal when we're going to lose you. But we're going to keep it moving here. Number 2 question, Lucia, I want you to lead off. Black and white Americans have dramatically different views on how they view and interpret police killings of black victims. Perfect time to actually come to this question. 44% of white people view fatal police encounters with black victims as isolated incidents, while only 18% of black people feel the same. A large majority of black people, 79%, believe that these deaths are part of a broader problem with policing, which is shared belief amongst 66% of Hispanics. Lucia, basically what that's saying is 18% of whites think that ain't that serious, whereas 80% of blacks think that it's a crisis. What you think?
You said 80 or 18?
18% of white folk feel that it's a crisis.
Okay, yeah. I think it's obvious that it's a crisis. I think it's very, very, very blatantly obvious that it's a crisis. And
I think let me correct myself because I just gave a misinformation. Let me read this again. 44% of white people view fatal police encounters with black victims as isolated incidents. 18% believe that of black people think that it's isolated. So I wanted to correct myself. A large majority of black people, 79%, believe that the deaths are part of a broader problem, and 66% of Hispanics agree. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious. You know, one of my good friends, her best friend is black. She's not, and she's very much so in what she would call the black conscious community, and she actually brought up some facts, you know, of killings from police officers, and interestingly enough, the highest rate isn't, and I'm gonna be completely open and go there, but you know, and keep going, but it isn't black people. I think it's actually white people, according to the poll that was taken last year, which surprised the hell out of me. And this girl, you know, has been saying Black Lives Matter the whole time, and I clearly agree with that statement. But it is a huge problem. But you know, and just going along with what you're sharing as well, those facts that you were sharing from the polls, I've seen personally, just from logging into Facebook, you know, it doesn't even have to be going out and having conversations, just logging into Facebook, that a lot of white people don't really see killings of black people that are being, especially black males, because it mostly is black males, being a problem. Is usually they've done something and they should have just listened and things like that. And I'm just like, and I'm just sitting here in my mind, like, I can't even engage this. I can't even look at this. Like, this makes no sense. Like, how can you? And it's like, but the problem is that I think oftentimes people try to agree with a system that is authoritative and clearly been in the wrong for a long time, just because that's the right thing in their mind to do. And it's like, a lot of times people see that it's wrong and they still agree with it. And it's like, how can you do that? I just don't understand how people can do that.
I look at those numbers, and I'm somewhat familiar with them. By number, absolutely, there are more white people that are killed by police than black people. By numbers, absolutely. Per capita, it's different because white folks are, depending on what census you look at, are somewhere in the neighborhood of 65 to 68% of the people. Whereas black people are 12 to 13%. But if you look at the incidences of people being killed by police, we outnumber them per capita by over 2.5, by 2 times. We're twice as likely. But when we say Black Lives Matter and the response is all lives matter, okay, Black Lives Matter. And so does all lives. All lives matter. Absolutely. I got you. I can dig it. But all lives matter. Where are you when black people getting killed by the cops? Because if all lives really do matter, then where the hell are you?
You ain't ducking the same bullets I'm ducking.
I mean, you're not ducking the same bullets I'm ducking. True. But if I only hear the phrase, and I want Facebook Live to see this. If I only hear the phrase, all lives matter, in response to Black Lives Matter, then STFU. Like, for real. Like, seriously. Like, seriously. If you only saying all lives matter in response to Black Lives Matter, then you are part of the problem. Because you don't care about all lives. You just care that black lives are mattering. You don't want to hear it. It offends you to hear it. And that's cool if that's what it is. But just keep it 100 and quit being a punk about it. And just say, Black Lives Matter offends me. Don't give me this stuff about the Black Lives Matter movement. Don't give me this stuff about the riots. Don't give me none of that. Like, for real. Especially if you're not somebody that's denounced the KKK. If you ain't denounced the KKK, then you don't get to say shit about Black Lives Matter. Yep. Like, for real. If you have not denounced the KKK, then you don't get an opinion on Black Lives Matter with me. You just don't. You just don't.
Well, I'm with you on that one. You can't get one on.
So you cannot say all lives matter only when someone just said Black Lives Matter. Period. Big Rube, you've been silent. Jump in here and give me something.
I mean, wow. I don't know. I don't know much more I can say to that, man. He's pretty much said it all. I just, I don't even know.
I mean, are you living in a bubble, bro? Are you in that bubble, Big Rube?
I'm in my bubble.
You're in your okay. But you know what? Then are you one of those people who believe all lives matter only after another black life gets snuffed out?
No, not at all.
Oh, I'm coming for you, Big Rube.
I see that.
I got to because I'm not feeling the urgency, Big Rube. I mean, maybe, like I said, I don't know. Maybe I guess I'm a hothead. Maybe I guess I'm that dude who's gonna sit here and I'm gonna challenge the fact that I'm educated enough to know, and I'm not talking about you.
No, yeah.
What I'm saying is I'm educated enough to know what a law enforcement officer cannot do. And you know what? All the time I have the right to remain silent. I don't answer questions.
Yeah.
I don't answer questions. You ask me, what's your name? I don't answer questions. I gave you my ID. What you need me to talk to you for? Roll your window down for what? I don't know. Here, I make a slit, give you my ID. That's all you need. You feel that my hands are clearly in a place where they're non-threatening, so you don't get to use your blue powers and your badge.
But the unfortunate reality is that could cost you your life, even if you are justified, which you are, because I agree with you and I feel the same way. But the unfortunate reality is that behavior could cost you your life, and there are plenty of people who think that it's something wrong with you for saying that and feeling that way.
And guess how much I care about what
I know you don't. I know you don't care, but because I'm your brother and I love you, your ass could die for feeling that way.
You're right.
And your children, your grandchild would have
watch this.
Would have no big bro Joe.
Watch this. I, as a man in good conscience, could never allow my son to sit there and see me cower in front of somebody just because they believe that they have more power than I do. That will never, ever happen.
I agree with you.
And let me tell you, and I'm going to make this, and I'm going to piss off a couple of people, but they didn't stop making guns, folks. I have the right to protect myself against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yeah.
Which means if you're a domestic terrorist and you're killing my people and you come for me, well, I guess there's two of us. We better. And the old saying goes, when you dig one grave, make sure you got two.
Yeah, no, I got you, and I tend to agree with you. The unfortunate reality is,
I might be in the minority, but that's
no, you're not, because I agree with you. I agree with you, but the unfortunate reality is that kind of thinking is going to have your ass dead.
Well, and you know what? I'd have made it this long.
Yeah, but that kind of thinking will have you dead. And strategically, we need to figure out a way to make it so that you're not dead. Because at the end of the day, when we watch the TV and we see, just as recently as yesterday, a dude had his hands up and he took 5 in the back from law enforcement. We seen Philando Castile, who had a concealed weapons permit, who took one in the chest after being asked for his ID. So we know if you follow the rules, it may not work out for you. Like Crutcher in Ohio, what is it? Help me out here. Was it not Nebraska? What's the other? Oklahoma,
yeah.
Tulsa. He had his hands up, and his murderer, the police officer, was arrested at 1 o'clock in the morning and released at 1:23 a.m. on a $50,000 bond. Did you hear the newest with her? Yeah, she had auditory problems. She couldn't hear nothing. She couldn't hear no orders or nothing. So we already know that that's how they're setting it up. She basically blacked out. This is what we dealing with.
Why couldn't she?
This is what we did. This is what we dealing with. Ain't no hashtag on March. All right. Let me get some comments in here, because the social media is loving on us right now. First of all, my sister Melanie in the Shy is checking us out. Melanie says she's tardy to the party, but she's here, so she's shouting us out. Let me see. My big my cousin Robin is checking us out in Jersey. She says she doesn't see enough people wanting to speak for people, period, not just to run for president, but to run for anything. I know there are some people out there that want to do good for the common man, but politics as a whole is about money. How much money do you have to buy a seat? I can dig it. Our sister Neek says it's a shame when a police captain or of a major city stand up and say that the city black man has 18% more probably of being arrested or shot than other ethnicities. What is wrong with this? I can totally dig that. And Steppin with Marcus J. Our sister LM, who's checking us out, and says she understands where we're coming from, but she agrees with me, yours truly, Marcus J. Feel that we really need to come up with something to sustain us through the changing system without them knowing we're making the change, hence economically. You might be on to something, sister. So definitely let's work to make that happen. Robin jumps back in, says that it's sad. What do we tell our sons to keep them safe out here? And that's what I alluded to a little while ago when I mentioned the actual the talk. When we have the talk, and we have them with our sons and we have them with our daughters now these days, but ultimately we need to do something. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus J, live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. Rock with us at 804-402-2893. That's our number to dial if you want to call us. The phone lines are open. You want to rock with us, we're going to roll with y'all. Number 3, white people are more likely to say protests are a result of anti-police bias, while more black people say the demonstrations are because of demands for police accountability. Large majority of the public, regardless of race, say that a great deal or some of the motivation for the protests have unfolded after police killings of black lives, or because long-standing bias against the police, which 79%, as well as the desire to help hold police accountable for their actions, 65%. However, when broken down along racial lines, a large number of white people, 85% believe the protests were prompted by antipathy. I always say this word wrong. Antipathy towards the police, while a majority of black people, 79%, say that the protests are to help ensure accountability against the officers. Ruben, basically the question or the statement is white people are more likely to say protests are a result of anti-police bias, while black people say the demonstrations are because of demands for police accountability. What's your thoughts on that?
We usually protest when something has gone wrong in the system. So, I mean, I guess the thing, here's my thing about it. You rarely see white people protest about anything that has to do with police or anything like that, unless they're not getting enough money or things of that such. But usually when one of us is shot, killed, then we protest because they shouldn't have shot or killed him. They didn't have a reason to do so. I mean, in my opinion, yeah, we protest after the fact because we try to say, hey, you shouldn't have did that. And we're protesting you because you made a bad decision. And you shouldn't have shot that person, especially with their hands up or when they didn't have a weapon or they were 9 years old or something like that. So like what was it, a year ago, somebody shot the kid in Chicago who had a toy gun.
That was in Ohio. That was
it?
Tamir Rice in Ohio.
Yeah. So when people in that authority make horrible decisions, we like to say, hey, you kind of messed up, but nobody hears, hey, you kind of messed up. So we have to come out there full force and protest.
But you know what? I'm going to beat that one up too, because you know what? I was just down in the QC. I was just down there in Charlotte, and I saw some of the aftermath of what was going on down there during the riot stages. And how many, and Marcus J., we've done this, Big Rube, we've done this. How many people were actually out there protesting what happened versus people who were out there showing off and being fake protesters and causing more problems than what the actual protest was supposed to be about? See, that pisses me off more, because these focus groups or these polls that we get, you get a random bunch of dumbasses, and I'm sorry, but I gotta say it like that. You get a random bunch of dumbasses who have no clue and no idea and can't even spell the word bullet, going out there kicking in kicking in doors. Why are you kicking in a hotel? Why are you going into a hotel punching a clerk? Well, how does that show that you are for the cause?
But it doesn't. And see, the unfortunate reality and your frustration is shared, because those will be the people who represent Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Those will be the people who will be the face of the Black Lives Matter movement. You got a lot of people in the conscious community right now that's telling you about the rich white people that are funding Black Lives Matter. Let me just let y'all in on a secret. That shit don't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that some rich white person is funding the Black Lives Matter movement, because ultimately Black Lives Matter was started as a direct opposition to police brutality. It started off as a thought. As a thought. That's what it was, a thought. And so you got people who are on the street that are screaming Black Lives Matter who are doing untoward things. But it doesn't matter, because ultimately it was not started for that purpose. It was started for the purpose of enlightening and putting a spotlight on the fact that this stuff don't happen to nobody but us.
Well, can I be stupid for a minute? You know, the Emancipation Proclamation wasn't built for us either, right? People don't realize it. They think that I mean, we say this, we consciously say these things all the time. We consciously do, but folks, I'm sorry. If you feel that I'm wrong, please give me a call and tell me that I'm wrong. 1-804-402-2893. You can call in and say, hey, Big Bro Joe, you full of shit. Call me and tell me. But you know what? A bunch of idiots not listening to exactly what is being said. The Emancipation Proclamation was not made for us. Abe Lincoln didn't care nothing about black people in slavery. It was economics. And at the time, he was a Democrat, if I remember correct. No, he was
Republican.
He was Republican. Yeah, because Republican was supposed to be the good folk, right?
Yep.
Oh, the irony of that. Red and blue, and they end up being purple. The purple people eaters, because that's what they end up being. I'm trying to tell you, folks, it's crazy to me that we do not open up our minds and we are not intelligent enough. We get on a bandwagon, and you know what? A lot of y'all are like, these sports team people. Everybody know I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm a Cowboys fan. That's what I'm going to be. Period. Whether they win, lose, or draw. You got people right now who done jumped on the Philadelphia Eagles team, and I'm only going to talk about the NFC East. Because, like Big Ruben last place. But what I'm saying as a Redskin fan, they're mad about certain stuff. They mad. I'm just going to use the filter. Everybody is offended. Well, not everybody, but the majority of people are offended by the word Redskin. Why we haven't changed that? You want to know why? Because it's a focal point. It's something that's been used, and it's something that's going to continue to make money for them.
And they also lost their appeal today to keep that name. So who knows what's going to happen soon? Just the thought out.
Ain't no hashtag on Marcus J live from the Dan Legacy and the radio. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. Y'all want to rock with us? We're gonna roll with y'all. Couple of quick hits in Facebook Live. My sister Melanie in the Shy says she came in right when yours truly was getting crunk. Girl, they get me hyped up in here with this shit.
I don't think I've ever heard Marcus J say crunk.
Hey, I'm quoting my sister Melanie. And our sister Neek says that she tells her children to comply with the commands and always be respectful, and also let the officer know whether you or not you have a weapon, which is fair. That's
they know
fair. They obviously know it, but it's fair. Absolutely fair. I agree with you. My only caveat is how they gonna treat me. I know how I'm gonna treat them because I know me. But if I gotta pay for the sins of the last ass that they dealt with, I got a problem with that. Because I know me. I know Pops J did a fabulous job of raising Big Bro J and yours truly. Okay? We are not the type of cats that's going to ever be disrespectful. When we see law enforcement, we treat them with respect because that's what you do. You treat authority with respect. But you know what? I wonder if they're going to reciprocate. I wonder if, because you had a caller a couple of days ago where the brother was not respectful to you, he called you a pig and said after police, if you're going to take that out on me. I wonder if you pull me over and you see my license and you see that I'm a concealed carry permit holder, if you're going to already roll up on me with your hand on your side.
Definitely.
That's a problem for me. Because I might die for having my rights. That's a problem. And I ask my white brothers and sisters, the ones in social media who want to fight with me, they're not going to keep it 100. But the ones who don't fight with me, the ones that talk to me offline, they keep it real and like, yo, we ain't had to talk. What are you talking about? What is this talk now? They know about the talk now because social media and cameras and media has made these things more public. But the first time that I found myself accosted on the hood of a car when I was 15 years old in 1990, there wasn't no body cams. It wasn't no dash cams. It wasn't no nothing but he said, she said. All it was what Marcus J said and what Big Bro J said. That's it. Just me and my brother. That's it. And it's a good thing that it didn't go down in a negative way for us 26 years ago. I'm 42 years old now, and I still carry this to this day. And it's a good thing that I ain't freaking die that day, but I could have.
I'm glad you didn't.
I could have. There wouldn't be no legacy in the radio if I did. Last question we gonna ask.
Wait, I gotta throw something in there real quick, Marcus J.
What's that?
And people, I need you all to realize something. Everybody wants to holler about the police are authority figures. Stop. Because I'm an authority figure. Marcus J is an authority figure. The misconception that they believe the police are here, police are reactionary, folks. They react to things that have happened in the past. They don't prevent a damn thing. They react to things that have happened into the past. And to Marcus J's point, guess what? If you had a bad day, just like any human being, yo, Rube, as apathetic as you are about the fact that you don't want something to happen, being a genuinely nice guy won't save your life if you ran up on somebody, like Marcus J said, who had a bad day. It won't save you. So let's make sure that we understand they're not authority figures. We give police officers too much praise. We give them too much credit. Now, do I respect police officers? Yeah, I do. But I expect them to respect me. Hence the fact that I'm telling you, I'm not going to be quiet. You can't shut me up just like that.
No, I can dig it, and the reality is, I don't want anybody to listen and hear me and think that I'm anti-police, because I'm not. I'm absolutely not anti-police.
No.
But I think that it's fair if I watch the news and you watch the news, and I've got a natural distrust for someone that has a natural distrust for me, that reciprocation should be fair. Because reality is, police are trained to not trust you. So why should I?
To you.
So why should I trust them? Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Last question here in this piece is, it's not a question, it's a point. Majority of Americans favor the use of body cameras and believe they help make police act more responsibly. Ruben, it continues by saying an overwhelming majority of Americans, 93%, believe body cams, which are used to record their interactions with citizens, are useful. Many Americans also believe that body cams would help make an officer act more responsibly, which includes a tally of 67% of white folk, 60% of black, and 74% of Hispanics. Translation: everybody thinks that there needs to be body cams. What do you say, Big Rube?
I mean, they can turn them off.
You made my point.
There it is. If they can turn them off, then why does it matter? So you could. Why was it off? I turned it off when I went to the bathroom, or my battery died. Until you can implant something into their eye that they can't control, or both eyes, because then they can't close both of their eyes, in that point, it'll mean something. To be honest, it doesn't mean anything because they can turn it off.
I'm with you, Big Rube. Like I said, until, they need to have something where when you get out of the vehicle, click, it automatically turns on. When you get back in, click, it'll shut down. And they have residual because you have a dash cam to record everything else. I mean, I looked at the videos in Charlotte. I seen that there was nothing clear about what happened on those dash cams. The police officer who made the shooting, you can't even find his video. But that's how it is.
I step on Marcus J. I'm going to go ahead and agree that there should be dash cams, there should be body cams, and technology wise, if I can do what I can do with my computer and do Facebook from wherever I'm at and do all kinds of stuff, there should be a way that they can make it so those dash cams will stay on no matter what. And the reality is, they can be manipulated as well, because we've seen situations, Eric Garner, we've seen situations, Tamir Rice, we've seen situations, John Crawford, where having a video doesn't even matter. Ain't no half step with Marcus J. live from the Dan Legacy Internet Radio. Be back after we take this break. Before we do that, Big Rube is going to tease our next segment. Big Rube, what are we doing in the next segment?
We're going to talk a little bit about stuff. Maybe a little incest.
Wow.
Just shooting it out there.
Stuff and incest. Facebook Live, I'm shutting it down. I'm bringing it back. Ain't no half stepping with yours truly, Big Bro Joe, Big Rube. We lost our brother Lucia, but we're going to take this break. We're going to come back, and we're going to walk into the round table. Yours truly and the crew, and you. Be back in a few.
Is my mic on? Oh, okay. Legacy Internet Radio. It's your girl, the First Lady, comedianess, Lissa P. Ow, ow! Make sure you're tuned in to the #1 internet radio station around.